The meeting will now be called to order. Roll call.
Peter M. Pascalakis. Here. Mr. Mayara.
Here.
Ms. Ramsey. Here. Mr. Rain. I'm sorry. Ms. Miller. Here. Ms. Cantrell.
Here.
Mr. Newman.
Here.
Here. Okay, now, talk about the approval of the minutes of the February 10th meeting. Has everybody received a copy? Is there any amendments? Okay, now, we did receive a letter from Amy Paul that wanted something inserted. Amy, why don't we do this? Come approach the board. And what we will do is this. Why don't you read off the paragraph that you want inserted, and instead of having our secretary go through the procedure of finding it in the last recording, I talked with the city attorney, and if you read what you want inserted, it will be in next month's minutes. Okay, so that way we don't have to go through a whole procedure to try to include that paragraph, but you're going to be on the record right now, and it's going to be included in next month's minutes.
Okay. May I ask a question about, I just have a specific question about how the minutes, was it an error, just a human error?
The minutes generally aren't word for word, so sometimes it has very little detail. Sometimes they're more elaborate, but they're not intended to be word for word.
Right,
so
and I understand
there's no,
that the paragraph itself has every other sentence that I said except for the two. And the reason I noticed it was because the video was also corrected the next morning. There were about 5 words missing out of the video that were there the night before. And then these 2 sentences were taken out of the minutes. So I want to make sure they get in there, and I guess I'll be satisfied with that.
Go ahead and read what you want in there.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you say that again about what was missing? I missed one.
I'm sorry, right here.
No, what she just said.
In my statement that I read from a script, the next morning the video was edited. There was a lag and a chop, and a few words were missing from the video. And then when these minutes appeared, the sentence that had the video edit and another sentence were completely taken out of the minutes. So I just don't know how that happens, and my question was going to be, how does something like that happen, and is it common to find these kind of errors in the recording of the meeting and the minutes, or did someone say, there's a reason why these sentences weren't in there, like maybe if I was foul-mouthed, or if I was,
There, I'll be honest with you. I was on the other side of the podium during my eminent domain thing, where I even had police officers remove me from the podium and out the door. I mean, and if you look at the minutes of that meeting, Dino objected, or to being, so they condensed it down. It's not a, a scheme or whatever, but but go ahead and include it, and we'll make sure that it's in. And please make sure that next month, Amy's this paragraph that Amy's about to read will be reflected in next month's minutes.
Thank you. The statements were, many residents have told me that they think blighted properties are ignored in order to drag values down, a plan that is obviously failing. Surprisingly, some of these properties that I can see from the windows of my house are owned by board members here. And that was it. Those two sentences.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, let's go back to any amendments to the minutes as you received. I see none. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second? Motion, a second by James? Is that one? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. A second by Linda. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, item 4, a wall graphic, graffiti junction at 415 Main Street.
Okay. I wanted to just let you know this is a very short, brief memo. It's all about the graphic, the picture. We have the applicants here this evening who can answer any questions you have about that picture. Would you bring that up, please? Pardon me? Yeah, just keep going through the PowerPoint there, and that's the existing building. And there we go. Bring that one up. Okay, that is the wall graphics being proposed on Main Street, and that's located on the east side of the wall of the building, and so I believe that the Graffiti Junction, which is a new restaurant on Main Street, is trying to add a little more color and splash. And as you know, the E-zone and this area is intended to be something that can be a little more exciting and vibrant. And I think that's the intent here. Staff supports this proposal, but it's up to this board to weigh in and make a final decision whether or not this wall graphic is approved.
Okay, you may proceed.
Basically,
Your name and address, please.
sorry, Tom Boygieff. Do you want the work address or home address?
They normally give the home.
Okay, 4274 Regaltown Lane, Lake Mary, Florida, 32746.
Okay.
This is the artist, Bill Roberts.
Hi, I'm Bill Roberts out of Orlando, Florida, 7623 Pacific Heights Circle.
Junction is more of a family-style restaurant. We've got locations in Orlando, 8 locations in Orlando. We cater to more of a fun atmosphere for families. It's not going to be the typical biker bar that's been associated on Main Street. So when we came into Main Street, and Archie is our landlord, we took a look at the building, saw the building, and in 30 days we repainted it, cleaned up the inside, did everything to open before Bike Week. During this process, Bill, our artist, that he has done the graffiti work on the inside of the building and some on the top level. Basically what he did was he came up with an idea, said, hey, look, let's support our troops. Let's, the graffiti's all about America. And let's go ahead and see if we can submit something to the city to approve painting an American flag down the side of the building. And it kind of looks like with the wind blowing from the ocean, the artwork will look like the flag blowing in the wind. So and I spoke to Reed, and he said to ask us to submit the proposal, and that's why we're here now.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this? Well, you need to come up. And you guys, if you want to go ahead and have a seat, if there's any questions, we'll call you right back up. Sure.
How you doing? John Gervasoni, 129 South Grandview Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32118. I would like to say that would be a beautiful thing. Put an American flag there. Build morale. I have a great idea for the beach. And we all got to work together here, because the guy on the beach with the go-karts doesn't want to leave. Well, did you ever think build a place and want to have a go-kart place inside the place? Build a nice big hotel with a museum for the bikers. You have a big museum there. You could have bars in there, shops, restaurants, all the way up those freaking vacant properties. Get investors. People will come. And you'll have that all the way up there. It'll be so beautiful. And then if you got to do something with the transportation, take something. You don't need to take a quarter mile. Take something. But that'll give you money to fix the whole other area, put new sidewalks, put the... it's just got to be done. That place is that place is worth money. Knock down the Mayan Inn. Knock down that other place. Get the other... the guy with the go-karts doesn't want to leave. Margaritas. Tell him you'll put a big fun room right inside the freaking hotel that you're going to build, and there'll be a boardwalk outside it. Then you put the go-karts. You have a place in there. They can have little drag races with things where the kids could do that. There's so many things you can do here. You can have an art museum in there, and you can have skylights so the sun comes in. I mean, it'll be a beautiful thing when you walk into it. You'll say, wow, this is beautiful. You have a memorial for the Vietnam vets and for our soldiers and for all the country. Build morale. That's what the community needs, and people love to come here. You could put an ear museum. You could do it. There's so many things you could do here, but just to look at it like it is disgusting. God bless you all. I love you all,
Thank you.
and things are going to happen.
Thank you for your comments. Okay.
But you can't be afraid of change, because change is good for the community. So everybody has to get on the same page.
All right.
One guy can't fight the other guy, so we all love each other, and we want to make Daytona great, not just America, but Daytona and all of America.
You got it.
God bless you.
Is there anybody else that'd like to speak in favor of this?
Daniel Oaks, 155 South Wild Olive Avenue. I'm 3 blocks from that building, and I'm very much in favor of it.
Okay, thank you.
Big improvement over what was there before.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? And let me ask you one question. The type of menu that you're going to have is going to be, you said cater to families, so
It's hamburgers, chicken tenders. It's our menu. Our burgers have won awards in Orlando and in Florida. The nachos that we have on the menu won last year's #2 on Yahoo's top nachos. Our menu is a fresh gourmet menu. Even though it's burgers and fries, everything is fresh, all the way down to the French fries, the zucchini fries, the sweet potato fries. Everything's fresh. And actually tomorrow, today we kind of closed the bottom part in order to prep to roll out the real menu tomorrow. And then over the next 2 weeks, we'll be rolling out newer items. So it's basically we're here for a long time, and a lot of times when we start up in a different spot, businesses come around us because they see people getting attracted to the area, and we also cater to the hospitality. That's another tourists. We love them. They're here, but they go. We'd rather have the people that are here all year round that work here, want to play here, and live here. So,
well, we wish you all the luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Board comments. Start with James.
When I first opened this packet, I was really excited to see the idea of wall murals along Main Street. I think it's a really great idea. But when I saw the rendering of it, it kind of fell flat with me. And the reason is that it looks like the status quo of the biker bars along Main Street. And it doesn't, to me, appear to be something that's going to really change the economic climate for the better along Main Street. I'm not opposed to it. I really would like to see us, we shouldn't be afraid of change. It just looks like more of the same thing.
Yeah, and when Bill, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Not only am I one of the main artists, but I'm also the co-founder and co-creator of this brand. I certainly, as an artist, have never strived for mediocrity or status quo. With all due respect, I think that this is not the norm for this area. I have been frequenting this area as a guest for many, many years. I'm also an enthusiast, from the Harley community. To see what I'm about to do on that wall, if approved, you have to already see what I've already done. The upper portion of that is already complete, is a continuation of that. I'm also a veteran. One of the things that is really, speaks to my heart is, of course, veterans causes, POW, MIA. Those examples are already painted in that. And again, it's a continuation. It's very difficult as an artist sometimes when you do a rendering to be able to convey your image and find everybody on the same page with it. But I think that when I go up and down Main Street in Daytona, there's nothing about what we're about to do. I think that to characterize it as more of the same, I again, with all due respect, I think that's kind of unfair. I think that what we're trying to do is achieve something level and to a different height. And also, speaking for the brand itself, we want this to be a family restaurant, and that's something that's not really being done in that particular area. We want, families to feel comfortable about coming in. We do a lot of things with promotions. We do trivia. We do karaoke. We do a lot of things that probably are not the norm in this community. I can't speak specifically regarding this community and what our competition is doing, but from what I've seen, I can speak only as a consumer and a visitor of this area. I don't think anyone's doing quite what we're going to try to do. So, thank you.
We wish you all the luck.
I appreciate that.
Linda?
Well, my first reaction to this was that I liked the way the building looks without the flag on it, but after hearing you guys, you've kind of convinced me the other way. I think it's a good idea. And the other thing is it's an American flag, not a Confederate flag, and that's one of the things that I think this board needs to work on, is most of the windows when you go up and down Main Street are the Confederate flag. You can't do it at Walgreens, you can't do it at Sears, you can't do it on Amazon, but you can go down Main Street and every store there you can get one. So it's good you're doing the American flag.
Thank you.
Okay, Teresa?
I was lucky enough to go down Main Street this past weekend and actually saw the top of the building where the painting has already started on the inside, which looks amazing. It helped me when I saw the picture look and see how it might look and feel on the outside. I unfortunately haven't visited any of your restaurants in Orlando, and when I think of graffiti, I think of the artsy, nice, cool type of graffiti. And knowing that that word is in your name, which is Graffiti Junction, is that correct? That I was thinking there would be like more on it than just the flag. I think the flag is amazing though. So hopefully there's more to come, and hopefully there's a lot of neat stuff on the inside with all kinds of neat graffiti. I've seen some really cool graffiti where it's been like a kind of iconic graffiti, like to Daytona Beach, where there's little graffiti. It'll have some motorcycle stuff. It'll have some speedway stuff. It'll have some fireworks over the pier stuff. It'll have the band shell stuff, and it's all graffiti looking, but yet a bunch of little iconic, neat things that are in our city.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because on the inside, when you walk inside on the bottom floor, you can see the beach right straight to the back, and it's got and then the hallway that's going to the restrooms to the left there. It's a tropical scene with the sun rising. And then over to the left, underneath the big TV, it's got Daytona to look like the raceway with the checkered flags. We got on the wall to the left, there's a 386, and it's painted with some island theme or some beach theme to it. And then when you walk up the stairs, it's got our brand with the face of the female. And then on the outside, same thing. And then on the inside, it's got some other top floor. It's got some other stuff that adds pizzazz to the from Daytona. So we try to, in every community that we go into, take something from that and add it into the artwork.
Cool.
And the artist, Bill, he does excellent work, and he did a really good job. So check it out sometime. You'll like the way we have it set up.
Awesome. Well, and I think if you try to move that to the outside, you'd have a lot more people saying yay or nay either way. So I think by putting a flag on the outside, I like it. I think it's good, and it represents America and all that good stuff. My question is, are you guys leasing the building?
We are, but we have a 20-year lease.
Okay.
We have 10 years and then 2 5 options.
Okay. And is it paint or wrap?
It's paint.
Paint. Okay. All right. That's it.
Thank you.
Just to make some correction, this is not the first time. In the late 80s, half of the town was graffitis, by the way. Half of the town, from Ocean Deck to all the way down to, I think, past Maui Nicks, if I'm not mistaken. And the city came up with an ordinance, and everybody took them off. So now the city is okay with this now? Is that what it is? So we're going back to putting graffitis on the walls.
It has to follow the requirements for a wall graphic.
And the requirements are on the page 562, which they included, which you cannot have written messages.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. But I'm sure, Dino, you remember when everybody had graffitis on the walls in the late 80s when spring break was here. Everybody had graffitis. So do we put a limit of how much graffitis goes on the wall?
It's really up to the reviewing board to make a decision each time someone comes in here for an app with a proposal.
Okay, because I think it's a great idea. A lot of the buildings, instead of wasting the paint, and I think it's great for graffitis. I can tell you some of my buildings that had graffitis, and the city made clean up everything. So even the Streamline had graffitis. I don't know if you guys remember, they had graffitis and they made everybody clean out. So if we're going to do this for Main Street, then we should be fair to everybody else around that they should have graffitis.
It's allowed in the ordinance for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll allow wall murals, we call them that, or a wall graphic, but we're not going to call them graffiti because for us, that's what we're trying to eliminate.
That's exactly, to eliminate them, call them murals.
There's a difference.
I think this is a big improvement for Main Street, especially this is coming from the Beachside, right? This is coming in from Main Street, looking in, right?
Yes.
Where the
yes.
parking is, right there. Okay.
Correct.
I think I agree with my colleague over here. I think it's if you continue the flag a little bit more instead of leaving that much emptiness, I think it's a good idea. It's great for the building. Believe me, I know Archie. I'm sure he's very happy with what you guys did for the building. Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. I think it's a good idea. But as far like I said, we should be fair to everybody that wants to put murals, right, Mr. Reed? Murals.
Murals.
Okay.
Or a wall graphic. We call it a wall graphic, a mural, but it's something that's going to be approved by a board, and somebody has to come in here. And a good idea is to have somebody that's really an artist, who is doing the work. Okay. And Miami now is famous, for some of the work that they're doing with their artists.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood we did have this, but this is not the first, whatever you want to call it, mural, but it's we did have them in this town in the late 80s. A lot of the buildings on A1A, but I think it's a big improvement for Main Street, especially for Main Street. And I'm familiar with your restaurants.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right.
Even the Fontainebleau Hotel, one of the most expensive ones in Miami, has.
Yeah, especially when you're on Collins Avenue and you got
the whole side. Suzanne?
I just really like the flag a lot. I think it's great. I think the artistry is wonderful too, so I'm all for that. But I have a question, not directly for you. This is more for the CRA board. It's my understanding. I want to first say I really like being involved in murals on Main Street. Like before we did the 22,000 square feet, or more, we don't meet on that. It's really great to be involved in the stores and the restaurants and the graphics and all that. But I'm confused because I thought my understanding was the new rule and regulation for this board was we would not hear or act on anything, recommendation or vote that was under 22,000 square feet. This is certainly under 22,000 square feet, is it not?
That pertains to site plans. This is a wall graphic, which specifically, no matter the size, would come to this board for review. So it's two different approval processes.
Oh, so let me ask you this then. If somebody wants to put a new restaurant in, would that come to this board again like it used to?
If that's a site plan approval, depending on the size, it's possibly staff approval. But if it were over 20,000, then that would come to you.
Okay, so if a business wants to put a business on A1A or Main Street, it would only come to us for approval of that business being allowed or recommended vote if it were over 22,000 square feet. Correct?
Kind of roughly. It's 20,000 square feet to be technically accurate on the square footage, and we're assuming it's a permitted use in the district. There's some assumptions made, and Reed, if there's anything I'm missing that you want to fill in, go ahead.
No,
but yes, if it's over 20,000, it would come to this board.
Or if it was under 20,000, the staff declined
it,
we would be the review board on a application that was denied by staff.
Okay. That's the only question I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Dino?
I just want to make sure he won't be able to change this. Next year he doesn't like it. It's going to stay a flag.
Oh yeah, it'll stay a flag.
Stay a flag.
An American flag.
Yeah, American flag. Yes. American flag. Okay. No, I'm good with it. I think it's great.
All right. This thing is, all board members commented, so is there a motion for approval? Okay, Linda makes a motion for
I'll
approval.
second.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Gilbert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You won.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
No problem.
Thank you.
You all.
Thank you. And in the future, they could come back with one for the south wall if they wanted to, you know?
Yeah, and if they wanted to change this particular one, they could come back and
Yeah,
ask
I mean-
for approval of that.
So you're doing one wall this year, you know, you may want to add another one in the future, you know, it's your call, you know? All right, sure.
I have a quick question. What did this building, restaurant was in this building before? I'm just having trouble figuring. What was it called?
I mean, Chrome.
It's a restaurant bar.
Chrome bar.
Okay. Okay. I get those buildings confused.
Since we're talking about Chrome bar, something that just bothers me still, and we still haven't addressed it, I think, and this will be my last meeting, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in while I'm here, you know? If the Chrome bar wanted to purchase Beach Photo, which is catty corner to it, you know, across the street, it could actually, I'm just talking out loud, okay? It could actually purchase the building, knock it down, put a tent during bike week, and be able to have an outdoor bar because the city rules allow it to cross a public right-of-way during Main Street, and I think we've never corrected that. And that's the one rule out of all this stuff that bothers me because it's like an incentive for somebody to purchase a building and knock it down on Main Street, which is something this board should not allow.
Dino, you're right on one part. State law said you got to be within 500 feet with the next license, beer license or liquor license.
Okay, that's fine. But within 500 feet, the scenario I gave was Chrome Bar buying a catty corner business,
yeah.
okay, which is within 500 feet,
Yeah.
putting a tent, and you know, and it would be an incentive for them to knock down
Yeah.
an existing building on Main Street. We've seen it happen.
Oh, I agree.
And
I'm with you.
and we need to do something about that. Otherwise, you're going to see
But it's
buildings
gotta-
on Main Street going down, which we have seen happen.
Yes,
Okay.
well, many times.
I mean, this should be a priority of this board, okay? But I'm not on, you know, I just use this as we were talking about the Chrome Bar, and that is a scenario that could happen and should be addressed in the future. It should be a priority. And in my parting ways, I wanted to be on an agenda of the future, and I will be standing over there speaking to this board. You know?
But Dino, another thing I want to tell you is that I think across the photo store, there's another bar. So there's
Yeah,
two licenses
anybody
in
could do
between.
it. Anybody
Yeah.
could do it.
There's two licenses. There's the new Graffiti Junction. There's
Yeah.
another license
Yeah.
bar, and then there's the photo. So I don't know if they're within the 500 feet of the state license. I know the city we had issues with the putting across the street.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, we should be wanting to have buildings and everything on Main Street. We don't want to deteriorate Main Street by allowing this loophole in there. Anyways, redevelopment project updates.
Yes.
Okay. Use this opportunity to let you know that we had an opportunity to speak about transit, and that was at a neighborhood meeting. And I think the culmination of the comments that were made at some of the redevelopment board meetings, and ultimately at that meeting, ended up being part of a report that was in the newspaper Sunday. So I don't know if you had a chance to read that, but there were obviously still a lot of fear and concerns that continue to be out there. And once again, we just have to reassure everyone that there's not the word eminent domain being used, nor can it be used for anything, as you know, Dino, unless it's a public project like a park or something else. And even then, you have to have very, very narrow and stringent requirements for a public body to utilize that.
And by the way, let me also tell the residents, the Institute of Justice came down from Washington, D.C. and filed an amicus brief in my ongoing battle right now in the court system. And they have their eyes on Daytona Beach and Florida. Okay, so if anybody tries anything, okay, the Institute of Justice, they're the biggest non-for-profit law firm in the country, you know, and they are supporting me. But anyways, okay.
And just to let you know, we are going through some reviews right now. One of them is the streamline, and we've actually completed that for a parking lot that's going to be redesigned out there. So, as you know, they've already been doing quite a bit of work on fixing up the hotel, but now this is the whole parking lot area, and so that's all been reviewed by staff and approved. Anybody that wants to see that project can certainly get online, because now everything we have can be accessed on that website. So all of our projects are there. You can type in Streamline as part of one of the projects, and get that information on the website at the Permits and Licensing Office. So it's all there if anybody wants to take time to review that. I received some correspondence from someone that thought that I should raise that at the meeting, so I did.
Jerry Nolan emailed both of us, so you want to go ahead and bring that up.
Right. So in addition to that, I want to let you know that we have some hotels that are still out there being worked on. And that is the Hard Rock. We're working through the permitting process right now for final approval of that beach access. That is at Lenox. So as some of you know, that comes first, is getting that improvement done, and so they're moving forward on that part. On the Proto Group, or what's sometimes commonly referred to as the Russian project, up on Oak Ridge and A1A, that one is still moving forward, and we are doing another final, I believe, this week on that project, so that this is with the phasing and everything else that you've already seen, and that one is going to the next step, and hopefully the first thing we'll see is a parking garage. And hopefully right after that would be the hotel. And we're not expecting it to take nearly as long. So I just want to continue to let folks know that's still the game plan. I don't think there's anything else right now other than ISB, East ISB is our focus in trying to make something good happen there. The East ISB redevelopment site, I think we talked about before, is under review and discussion with a potential developer, and that's where things stand at this point.
Reed, real quick, I've seen some activity for the old the new Westin Hotel coming up. I drive by it every day, so when I see people out there and I see activity and they're starting to work again, it makes me happy.
That's right. So that's good to go.
That's done, ready to go.
Now, do you want to also address, we received a letter from Jerry, an email from Jerry Nolan wanting something to put on next month's agenda, and your comments to that are?
Oh. Yes, let's see. This is regards to a house that we, and property we have out in the 144 to 148 Grandview, South Grandview area. We own a duplex out there, and we rent that out. So I think he's trying to ask for additional information about it. I'm going to approach him directly and speak to him about his interests about the property. I think the bottom line is he thinks that it's time for us to sell it. And we have interest to sell it when the market is right. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think the market is where it needs to be yet for where we're going to dispose of the property. We do have plans to put police officers in that. That's our goal. We sometimes don't reach that goal. We'll settle for a fire department or a fireman, and but we do want to have people who can keep an eye out in that area, and preferably if we have a police car in the driveway, we think that that's a plus in the area to have that. But that's just something that we're going to continue to hold on to, and I'll convey that back to him and answer any questions that he has.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and now I guess we're going into public comments. Would anybody like to speak to the board? Tom?
Good evening, guys. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and your sacrifice in serving on this body. I appreciate everything you guys do. Community Redevelopment Association.
I'm sorry, you're supposed to state your name and
I'm
your
Tom
address.
Gizrowski. I live at 150 South Grandview Avenue. My first time doing this. I'm sorry. And I also was elected to the Neighborhood Watch, and I serve on the board there.
And you are the?
I'm the vice chairman.
Okay.
Community Redevelopment Association. Does this mean? I want to be as nice about this as possible. I made some notes that are kind of all over the place, so forgive me. But does it mean it serves developers or big money interests, or even partners, or even elected city officials or appointed officials doing whatever they want? Or is it the homeowner who is pouring their life savings into a broken down, tattered home to make it beautiful once again in our community, 40 of which we have in our neighborhood right now? Some done by people who serve on this board, and I'm proud to know and be their neighbor. Or is it even the neighbor who helps their neighbor who can't afford to clean up their property or mow their grass, who's maybe elderly or injured? Is community more about that person helping them with nothing in return except for maybe just making that person alleviating their concerns about doing their part in community to keep it beautiful? Is it the neighbor that's out picking up trash right after the event that the city misses or fails to do on his street? Not just in front of his property, but down the whole street, cleaning it up all day, all morning. Isn't it community about the people that care about each of their neighbors and want to let them know that they're watching out for them, and they're looking out for their houses and watching to make sure nobody breaks into them, and they're letting them know when something's happening on their property or somebody's in their community that doesn't belong in their community is up to no good? Isn't that what community is about? Isn't community about the taxpayer who weathers the storm? It's not just here for the good times, but serves and provides our services for our community, even when things are really down in the dumps, and not just when it's good. Is not community about, wouldn't it be nice if the Community Redevelopment Board could, from this point forward, represent the residents and the homeowners, the taxpayers, first and foremost? And not only necessarily rogue political appointed officials or elected officials and their so-called big interest, big money partners. Isn't the CRA about serving the community? Isn't the community what the neighbors are, the people that put all the time and the money and the effort into the community? Isn't that what it's about? Why are we recommending, why are we taking our cues from these other people, these political officials that we put in power, that we elect, and they just do whatever they want? I say yes to opening the city charter and setting height limits 75 at the ocean and 35 at the river. I am community. We talked about graffiti tonight. I go all over this area, Beachside, and I clean up graffiti. I put my own money into it. I spend a lot of time doing it. I don't like things referred to as graffiti. I'm tired of cleaning it up. I'm tired of businesses being insulted and, gang symbols being plastered all over our beautiful beachfront and on our ocean front for our tourists to see. We have a bunch of it out there now right after the event. I have to get busy. I got plenty of paint. I'm going to be out there doing my best. I got plenty of cleaner. I'm going to get it all off. All right? That's community. I am community. And I say, open the charter, set the limits. I say, this will give the homeowners some real control. You guys have an opportunity to give the homeowners and the taxpayers some real control over any future development in this CRA area. This is the time, right now. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should have always been. I say no to the TOD. And I ask this body to represent me and the rest of the homeowners and taxpayers and residents by recommending the very same charter change in the height limits. And no to the TOD in any form. This proposal does not consider or care about the residents. The 80 unit per acre stipulation alone proves that. There is no fears that need to be relieved or assured. There is just no more trust left in our city officials. Thank you.
By the way, Tom, I just want to mention that you do some wonderful things around town. I've heard a lot of people tell me that you go there on your own time and you do fix up places that are run down or what have you. If you see something, you take the initiative. And even during Bike Week, Tom and a few other volunteers ended up feeding the police during Saturday at Bike Week and during the whole week, I believe, and we really appreciate that. I mean, you guys go beyond, and thank you. Yeah, anybody else would like to speak? Okay. And you, if you want to come up to the, go ahead. No, you go ahead and speak. And then if you want to stand over here in the corner, you can be next in line.
I'm not accustomed to doing this. Oh, Frank Nahigian.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Frank Nahigian. My last name is difficult to hear. Frank Nahigian, 43 South Hollywood. And I don't usually do stuff like this, but I'm very interested in what's going on here. As I explained last time I was here, we bought this place, moved in December 1. At 43 South Hollywood, and then I got involved in this project on the periphery of it. After the last meeting, I thought I'd do some research and see what the problems were here, and I thought I'd start with population. So I got these population figures that really surprised me. You probably are very familiar with them, but to me they're a revelation. If you notice the first column, the population of Florida, 1950 to 2014, grew from 2.8 million to 20 million. And it was a steady, orderly growth. Then I looked at Daytona Beach, skip over one line, and I looked at the population of Daytona Beach, 1950 to 2014. And you can see the progress or lack thereof since 1990. As it states at the bottom of the page, the growth from 1990 to 2014 was minus 0.7%. That's shocking. Do you know why that happened? You can't do community development without knowing why that happened. Maybe somebody discovered that there's been no progress. They decided we have to do some redevelopment. But before you do the redevelopment, you have to know why there's been no progress since 1990. Because progress in population is natural and normal. The lack of it is unnatural and abnormal. That's point one. Second point is, until you know why that happened, usually there's a catalyst for growth. Here the catalysts are the climate and the ocean. Well, after I saw that, I said, maybe there's something that happened in Volusia County. It wasn't just Daytona Beach. So I got the figures for Volusia County. You can take a look at it. Steady, normal, natural growth. So it isn't Volusia County and it isn't Florida, it's Daytona Beach. So what I suggest is that you find out why there's been no growth since 1990, and then you can do your redevelopment based on whatever that negative characteristic is. I guess that's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, Suzanne has a question for you. I'm sorry.
Frank, I was kind of hoping that maybe you would tell us what your opinion is of why this has happened.
I have opinions, but I don't have any information. It's just gut feeling, and I don't want to share them because I could be dead wrong, and then I don't want to embarrass myself by saying something stupid.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I say lots of stupid things, but not in front of very many people.
Okay. Anybody else would like to speak? Okay.
John Gervasoni, I say a lot of stupid things in front of a lot of stupid people, but all the time. God bless you.
But this time you're speaking in front of a bunch of smart people. So
That's right, I am. Listen, I have great ideas for that. And to address Frank's thing of why we're not growing and this area isn't developing and all these things is because of the stigma, and it's because of the lack of code enforcement. I got a guy who lives next to me. His house has been in disarray for 6 years because he keeps an open permit. He never fixes it. He's building it into the street. Nobody cares. And they just say, oh, that's okay. But it's not okay because it's indefinite. And as I fix my house year after year, I've been here 2.5, almost 3 years, I've been fixing my house regularly. I got hurt at work. Everything I have invested there. And I fix it, and you know what? He keeps raising the price of his property as I cut his lawn, as I keep people from squatting there, people from defecating all over the place in his yard, picking up the papers daily that occur. Cut his grass, look out for the guy, and all I get is grief from him. And he's unwilling to comply or fix it, and anyone on this board I've talked to is unwilling to address the issues. And that's the problem with the neighborhood, because if you have riffraff and bums and homeless and people begging for stuff, you can't even go get something to eat at a pizza place because the homeless are trying to take the food out of your mouth before you can eat it. That's the problem, because you're not building a community here. You're sending all the bums and the riffraff to Daytona Beach, and it's got to stop. Or you got to build a place for them over by the jail, like I called and said 1,000,000 times. If you need money to get raised, I'll raise the money. I'll call people, because when I call them, they listen. You know? So that's the essence of the problem. And until you have structure and a financial structure, and I mean everybody who's over there, you got to raise the rents, guys. You got to figure it out. You got to have a higher standard and bigger values for your neighborhoods. And you got to watch who you let in your neighborhoods. And you have to keep them clean. And then a tourist will come because you can walk down the street without being worried you're going to be mugged. I like to get up at 4 a.m. I can't go out of my house. I might get mugged. I got to say, we've been doing a good job in the last couple of months since I've been complaining, because I call people and I bother everybody because I don't care. I want things fixed. And as far as where all the racetrack, all the stuff on the beaches, that could all be 1,000 times better inside a huge hotel that you own forever, and you own the beach forever, and they give you a tax break forever, and they tax all the units and the housing on there, and you want to go 75 feet. I don't know. I'd have to look at the real demographics. But you could build something that everybody would come to see there. It'd be like you ever go to Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. I mean, you ever go to these places, you walk in them, there's all kinds of things you could do. You could do skylights coming down, so there's always sun inside the building. You could have cafes, restaurants all downstairs with skylights coming down. On the inside, you can make such a grand courtyard. And you can have a place where you can have outside, you can have a place where you can have go-karts in there. You could build that place up like nothing. You could have a museum in one end. You could have the memorial, all the bikers are the people bikers. I'm a biker. I love bikers. Bikers are usually sincere people that are good. Don't let the 1% of bad people spoil it for the good people. We have NASCAR enthusiasts here. They're building a hotel there. Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice big extension of that with the bikes or planes, and you got the military? You could build a nice memorial in there. You could do a lot of things, and then you could build luxury condos. You could do so much here. But it all starts with community and setting our standards higher and keeping our streets clean and backing our police department and giving all the police officers, and this, let me tell you, they all need raises. If I had $1 million, I would just dish it out and I would say, we'll put this right here for you, and everybody gets a $50,000 bonus. These guys, all of them. Because we would not have one little community here without them. Without our police department. And I've called them many times, and I drive pain in the ass maybe, but I want things done. And that's the backbone of our communities, our police department. And I think we should all give them a hand because they keep us safe. God bless you all.
Thank you.
And that's the basics.
Okay, Amy.
Good day.
Please state your name and your address.
My name is Amy Pyle. I live at 136 South Grandview Avenue. And these are my neighbors. And I'm very, very proud of all of them.
Now, are you representing the Beachside?
I am representing myself as a homeowner, but I also happen to be an officer on the Beachside Neighborhood Watch. I am the secretary on that board. Hi, Suzanne. Also a neighbor.
By the way, who's the president? I'm sorry.
Gene Camp is the chairman. And Virginia Brown is our secretary.
Okay.
You mentioned East ISB is becoming more of a priority now, I guess, since things are settling down out at the racetrack. And you said something about investment or development possibly coming there. I don't know. You just made a kind of a comment on that, but you didn't alliterate. And I also wanted to bring up that at the Santa meeting, which you mentioned, where you and Mr. Chisholm spoke, Reed, Mr. Chisholm stated that there was no activity or new investment beachside, to which I raised my hand and I expressed my disagreement with that. I do strongly disagree. There may be little or no city activity or investment beachside, but residents and small businesses are invested. They're building, they're promoting, and it's high time for the city to get on board. And I'm going to give the City Commission the same message. City staff must examine their policies towards the existing businesses and homeowners beachside. Everybody's waiting for something new to come in, but we are there, and we're there now. For example, Henry Zahn from Las Olas would like to purchase the city-owned lot next to his thriving restaurant. I don't understand why he is not allowed to purchase that. I don't see any justifiable reason not to sell it to him and why the city needs to hold on to that property. Perhaps instead of poising and waiting for these businesses to fizzle out or die, just like I feel like they're poised and waiting for our residences to deteriorate and our neighborhoods to deteriorate, the city should reach out to each active business along ISB and A1A. That includes Las Olas, the Gateway Restaurant, and all these other little spots in between the empty lots that are alive and treating customers and making ISB or trying to make it along ISB. They could offer help in the form of grants or tax rebates to help get their properties up to code and to give a long-needed shot in the arm to the area. Design and beautification standards could be introduced to them that will jibe with future businesses that will eventually fill in those blank spaces between. Vacant properties and buildings need to be brought up to code standards in the CRA. Do not tell me there isn't enough money to do this, because each property owner is responsible, and there are remedies in the code to lien these properties or to seize them. Obviously, the city has refused to enforce these rules, instead allowing landowners to wait for the best deal. Property values, just like the city is waiting for the best deal for that property that is 2 doors down from me to sell it. This causes a negative economic impact on adjacent properties, and that's a quote from the Code of Ordinances, that in my mind is criminally negligent. We do not need a TOD. We do not need a federal grant to get these buildings cleaned up. The burden falls on the owners of these properties. Hundreds of thousands of people over the years have driven or walked past these blighted properties and left Daytona Beach with an image of a beachside slum. What is the cost to our property value? The Streamline Hotel has poured their money in by the millions. Hundreds of resident owners, Tommy mentioned 40, but that was only 40 of the beautiful homes that I managed to get pictures of. I believe there's probably 100 in our little 3/4 square mile. The resident owners have poured their money in. Small businesses like Henry at Las Olas and restaurants have poured their money in. It is time to enforce our code and hold negligent building owners accountable for a change. Don't let rich owners sit on vacant lots forever without improvements. Fix our sidewalks, clean up those power poles, crack down on slumlords. Stop promising a better deal, and landowners will finally build or sell. If you want some good ideas, call me. It's not rocket science, but it is good management, and we are the owners, and we are watching our management. Just like you would in a business. You hire a manager. If they do a good job, your business prospers. If they do a crappy job, you fire them and you get a new manager. Thank you.
Before the next speaker, Reed, what is the in the CRA? I know the CRAs could hire, we could put extra money towards code enforcement or what have you. Right now, how many code enforcement officers do we have on the Beachside? One or?
Well, I don't know at any given time how many are over on the Beachside. I can tell you that.
No.
But
I'm saying how many have we? Do they work for the city?
They work for the city through the general fund. They're paid from the general fund to work throughout the city.
Okay, so the CRA does not have.
No, there is no funding. There was at one time when there were additional funds. We did underwrite some of the money for one code officer.
Jim, another question. What about with? See, I got to get all these questions out of the way here. What about with Ocean Walk Shops going in, being in an auction? Is that how would that impact the amount of money in the CRA? Let's say if it goes into auction and the next buyer buys it for $7 million, how's that going to impact the funds that go into the CRA?
It'll affect, just like any tax value, will affect the taxing districts up or down.
In this case, it'll be down.
Whatever it turns out to be. And we can't forecast where it's going to end up and how it's going to be valued by the county assessor.
Okay.
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 I agree as a resident of the Beachside area and Halifax Avenue that code enforcement is critical, and it's not happening. And one of the things that I've mentioned before that I would like to see this redevelopment board do is the same thing that Midtown and I think downtown does. We have a report every meeting from code enforcement. maybe from police too, but definitely from code enforcement, so we're familiar with what's being pressed and how it's being changed around here. Could we do that, Reed? I know they do it for a couple of the other boards.
They don't do it for the downtown board.
They do it for Midtown, though,
They
don't
do, yeah. They have been presenting that information to the Midtown board.
And they
That is
have
true.
a long list of all the things that they do. Can we do that?
If that is the pleasure of the board.
It's a pleasure of me. I think it would help for us to know.
I second that.
Carrie, if somebody wants to make a motion to that degree, is that something that I could entertain without it being on, or should we make a suggestion that at the next meeting we discuss it, or bring it up for a motion?
Reed can relay that message. The only thing I'm not sure of is since there is not an officer dedicated with these funds, I don't know that Reed is able to dictate another department staff, their hours. So I just don't know that can actually happen. He can request it, but it's two different departments, and since the funding doesn't come from the CRA, I don't know that.
Can we request that report be given to our board, and then Reed could speak on the report? That way, we have an update on it.
What happens, and typically happens, there would. Speaking of the Midtown board, where you're making reference to, a report is provided to the board members. They get a report, and then if they have some questions about that report, they can ask. The same with police and a CompStat reports, and those are available from the police in every 2-week period. And so there's statistics that are provided by area, so that you can look and see crime statistics for the neighborhoods. And that's something else that's available, and there are questions sometimes asked by board members in the Midtown Redevelopment Board that does not occur in the Downtown Redevelopment Board.
Okay.
Okay. Beachside needs it as much or more as Midtown or downtown.
Now, Amy, you'll be limited to just a follow-up question.
I was going to say, could we consider a volunteer staff of a few people that are willing to compile code enforcement complaints to assist with that, since there aren't funds for an officer? If there's any way that I'm sure I could arrange, 4 or 5 volunteers for a certain given area, possibly we could help. You can let me know about that.
Okay, why don't
Just
you
to
do this?
present a
Why don't
report.
you, sometime during the week, contact Reed, and then maybe you guys could work something out.
Great, because we have people now that want to be involved. So.
Okay. Okay, anybody else like to speak before the floor?
I have another question. Could you just explain that one more time, Reed, about why Midtown has a protocol that works, that
They
makes
have somebody
that
in
happen?
their budget.
Well, it customarily is something that they have received for quite a long time. It was among some of the other boards not what was important to them in terms of getting through a meeting, was to add a code, and it was taken off the agenda. Same with police. We used to have code enforcement officers and police officers who would appear at the meetings. They simply don't have the time to pay for someone to come out over overtime. We need them on the street, and so we don't have them here. That's not something that we do. It is the purview of this board is to do what? There are several things that this board has the powers to review certain things that are in the code as it relates primarily to site plan development, and advising the planning board, the city commission, about rezoning, and a couple other procedures. And as you heard tonight, wall graphing. So there's not the intent to keep adding more things to an agenda that is not related to what the purview of the advisory board is.
Well, here's how I feel about that.
Sure.
it seems to me there are 3 CRA boards.
There's no CRA boards. Let me back up and say
Okay.
you are a Beachside Redevelopment Board.
Okay, there are
And there are
3
3 redevelopment,
redevelopment boards. Okay.
And then there
I
is
stand corrected.
Yes,
Okay.
and then there is a Community Redevelopment Agency, which is the elected city officials,
Right.
who sit as the Community Redevelopment Agency Board.
Okay.
Okay.
My point is this. It seems to me that whatever the protocols are for one board should be the same for the other 2 boards. I don't understand that Midtown's got money to do this, but we don't have money to do it.
And
Maybe I'm
has nothing to do with money.
misunderstanding.
Has nothing to do with money.
I don't understand why they are having a code enforcement officer there and we're...
They don't have a code enforcement officer there.
Oh, they don't?
They've had them there from time to time, but it's more the exception than the rule that they're ever present. Okay.
Okay, you may proceed. Remember, state your name and address.
Okay. Hello, my name is William. My name is William Manning. I live at 112 South Oleander, Daytona Beach, in historic Surfside Village. Thank you all for your time, Mr. Berger. Although I do appreciate your comments at the Peninsula Club meeting and Mr. Chisholm's comments, and they did provide me with a lot of personal relief since I do live in Surfside Village within the quarter-mile north area. I still do feel the need to express my opinion regarding the TOD. I strongly oppose the TOD, and reasons are, since I've lived here, I bought in October of 2004, I've seen many positive changes from homeowners. Homes that we looked at that were on the market before we purchased ours, that were purchased by other homeowners, had been beautifully transformed. And we noticed that shortly after we had bought our home. One that we looked at right down the street from ours that had, at the time that we looked at it, had vagrants, people drinking beer, people urinating and whatnot. We were kind of a little bit, well, we shouldn't buy that house. But anyway, I just realized the other day, after 2 years, I'm living right down the street from that house right now. I never would have realized that this was the same house. It's beautiful now. And there's no vagrants, nobody urinating or doing anything bad outside that house. And walking around the neighborhood, I no longer feel unsafe. I have my mother coming to live with me. I'm not afraid of her coming to live with me. She's 87. I don't feel like I have to protect her as much. A year ago, I kind of, there were some characters walking down the street, but I feel as though that the homes are being bought up by responsible homeowners, and the feel of the neighborhood is much more safe. And the reason being is that people are buying these and they're putting hard-earned money and a lot of sweat equity as well into the homes. I feel that this neighborhood has turned a corner from a blighted area, one that is reverting back to a historical neighborhood that we can be proud of when we have guests come from out of town, relatives and whatnot. And I understand that may have been an issue with a lot of people. Even like when we first started looking, I'm thinking, that looks a little horrible. I'll have to avoid that street, when so-and-so comes to visit. But I don't really feel like that as much anymore, because I feel like there are a lot of beautiful homes that we can pass by along the way to the beach or wherever we're going. I personally have poured over $100,000 in my home in over a short time, and I have neighbors that have done the same, if not more. And my point here really is that we are investors, the residents. Maybe not the big money investors that a lot of people would like, but however, nonetheless, we are investors. And, please keep in mind that the proposed changes, and again, your speech with Mr. Chisholm did give me a lot of relief, but still, the proposed changes that were being spoken about would affect real people's lives, real people with hopes and dreams, people who work hard and are working hard to improve the safety of their neighborhoods, the property value, and really working hard to restore the beauty to these historical homes and the other homes that are in the area. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay. And please state your name and address.
Hi, my name's David Conover. I live at 136 South Grandview in Surfside Village. I represent as a homeowner in Surfside Village. I want to state my support and agreement with what Amy and Tommy have said this evening. I would also like to see the city step up to the plate and enforce code regarding vacant buildings and properties as well. For example, the former Shell station at ISB, whenever we ask about it, we are told it's going to be sold or some other excuse. But my question is, why hasn't the code been enforced? The view into the dirty windows makes the corner look like the scene out of a horror movie. The planters and signage are not maintained. There is broken pavement and trash and debris piling up. I also wonder if the gas tanks are still in the ground. There is still a donation box on the lot that we have reported that is not allowed in the CRA. There's also Santilli's at the corner of Oleander and ISB. This person has left this place in shambles. There's a front porch on this building that has been used by transients to sleep and left piles of garbage in the little front section of that. Every now and again, someone does go in and out, and obviously this building may be used as storage or some manner of usage. We and the other residents of Surfside Village have fought very hard to improve the neighborhood, and all we are asking is for the city to do its part and stop ignoring these and other problems. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak before the vote? You wouldn't. Okay, yeah, I mean, it'll have to be like a quick comment. I mean, okay.
Frank Nahigian, 43 South Hollywood. What I neglected to say earlier and meant to was that the first thing the Community Development Agency, which has all the authority, I would guess, for redevelopment, would say to me is, we know about the lack of population growth, that's why we want to do redevelopment. And my response to that would be that having an improved transit system is not going to bring in any more people. It's just an amenity that comes with the territory. You follow? Do you know what I mean? Okay. So what they have to do is find out why people aren't coming here. One of the things I do, there was a guy from Orlando who's going to put it in a new restaurant. Why did he choose Daytona Beach? I do research. You got to do research. Find out what the outside people think. Daytona Beach has an image. What is its image? It's one thing to you, us here. We like it. To the outside world, well, we don't know what they think about Daytona Beach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who hasn't spoken tonight would like to approach the board? Okay, seeing none, we're going to have now board comments. James?
I appreciate the comments from our public tonight, and I agree. I don't have my mic on. There we go. We on this board do represent the community. We're all members of the community. We're all citizens and business homeowners in the area. I myself live on the mainland, and believe me, we have all the same problems in the North Ridgewood corridor that you all do here on the beach. Probably even more so with code and drifters and all of that. I don't think we represent the developers. What we are trying to do here is to prevent uncontrolled development, because growth for the sake of growth is the strategy of cancer, and that's what we want to prevent. But we do like to see some growth, because growth is the healthy option. And I think what we're here to do is to see that growth is good for our community. And also, I want to say I'm the guy in my neighborhood who walks up and down and picks up the trash and spray paints over the graffiti. So thank you for that. We're out there. Thank you.
Okay, Linda?
oops. I'm a resident of the Beachside, north of Main Street, not south, the way all of you people are. And I think this is great that you're coming, and I hope we have some people come from the area that I live in. The problem is we don't have that many people that live in the neighborhoods north of Main Street. But we definitely need to have it improved. We definitely need more code enforcement there, more police, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very happy to be on this redevelopment board. We need to improve this entire area, so I'm working for everything that you say you want.
Teresa?
Yeah, I just want to say that I know there's a lot of passion for the homeowners that are in this room, and I was actually able to meet a group of them before this meeting a week or two ago, and it was nice to learn, how everybody was feeling and thinking. It was right after the TOD meeting, and there was a lot of concerns, and hopefully one of the things that I wanted to say to them, and I did say to them, was, and we also said it in the last meeting here, was it's our job here on the board to educate ourselves, and that's really what I want to do. And whether it's, listening to the public and learning from them, and then educating myself with what is coming before us and making educated decisions on that for what's best for the area. So I just want to say thank you, and everybody had some great passion for how they feel, and you're heard.
Thank you.
First things first, I want to say thank you to all the residents. Everybody has an opinion, but Daytona came a long way. I don't know how long everybody's been here, but it was a lot worse than what it is now. The only difference is Daytona is a slow-paced. It has two-paced, slow and slower. As far as the gentleman that was asking why there was no growth in Daytona, we used to have GE over here, General Electric. That used to be a big company, used to handle a lot of thousands of employees. When they decided to move to Melbourne, we lost a lot of good paying jobs. And one of the problems we have here in town is there's not a good paying jobs. So residents, people are not, there's no incentive for them to come to Daytona because it's not a well-paid area. Now, we contribute to a lot more to the state, and I'm sure we have talked about this already. Daytona Beach contributes more than Melbourne, more than Cocoa Beach, more than 5 other places put together as far as taxes to the state of Florida. But we get less money because we have less than 65,000 people that live here. Cocoa Beach has over 100 and some thousand. They get more money from the states. That's one thing. As far as the neighborhood, I heard that people have been here for 3 years, 4 years. I've been here for 28 years. Grandview and all those areas were a lot worse than what they are now. It's a slow process, but at the same time, we cannot ask only the resident to contribute. The business people have to contribute, but residents have to understand that business is very tough in Daytona. They used to say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I'm sorry. I lived in New York. If you can make it in Daytona, you can make it anywhere. And I've been here. I got businesses. It's very, very tough. So first things we got to do is we got to listen to the residents. We got to listen to the business people. But at the same time, we have to bring people that are willing to invest in Daytona, that are willing to create high-paying jobs. And that is the priority. I think that's a priority, is to bring in companies, to bring in high-paying jobs. I've been working on that for a very long time. Unfortunately, we have an image. Every time I go somewhere and I talk to people and I tell them Daytona, I'm sure everybody knows what they say, what they're going to answer me. So we have to work slowly, not only to make the community better, not only make the residents, the areas, like all the areas that people have been talking about, but at the same time. Now, I want to say something else. There's somebody that says something about the vacant lots. Here, we had a big hurricane here, so we lost almost 9,000 rooms, hotels, okay? When the hurricane hit us, we got three hurricanes back to back. I don't know who was here at that time, but we got hit hard. I was one of them that got hit hard. Then we start getting some development. There were some issues with certain officials that we elected ourselves. Trust me, there was officials that were, everybody had their own agenda. Unfortunately, now that those officials are gone, are moved on to other places. Some of them don't even live in this community anymore. So we're picking up the pieces right now, and believe me, they did a lot of damage. And I'm sure everybody can find out what was going on before. So I want to say to the resident, not only that I'm here, and I came here with $500 in my pocket, and I thank God for what I did, for what I built, but at the same time, we all got to work together. We can't be pointing the fingers. We can't say the city, the residents, the business people. It's never going to work. We got to put our fingers, fingers are all the same thing. But if we do this, one is bigger than the other. But if we all work together, we're all going to be at the same level. And it doesn't matter if it's Grandview, Wild Olive, Main Street, or Halifax. It doesn't matter. We all got to work together.
Together, if you don't enforce the codes, and you got
excuse me. We got
6 years, that's a mess.
Okay.
Give me a break.
Okay, not a problem. I'll give you.
Excuse me. I have let you speak twice before the board, please. We did interrupt you when you were speaking, so thank you.
I'll give you the biggest break, but I just want to say something. A lot of people know that the budget was cut for the police department. It was cut by a lot. We used to have walking police officers on the boardwalk, on the street, knocking on doors. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Everything's okay. But the budget was cut. Now we're going to have a bigger problem. We're losing our chief of police. I don't know if everybody knows, but he's running for sheriff. Okay? And I give him a lot of credit because 3 chiefs before him left a lot of damage. So the point I'm trying to make with everybody here, with the business people, with everybody here is that, we got to come up with an agreement that everybody's working together. We can't say, the city is this, the residents are those, this. No, we all got to work together. Unity makes force. If we don't work together, and Daytona has been like this for years and years, I can tell you for a fact that there has been more progress in the past 4 years than has been in the past 18 years. It took 17 years to build Ocean Walk. It took 9 years to get approvals. Okay? So now, with what Mr. Reed was saying about the Hard Rock, about the photo show, about all the other places, and things are moving faster than even the city was expecting them to move now. So things are happening. Things are going forward. There's going to be more taxes. There's going to be more properties. The city is going to have more money. I'm pushing for more police officers, and believe me, there's nobody pro-police than I am, but unfortunately, they're cutting the senior officers to hire junior officers because it's cheaper to hire junior officers because the city doesn't have the money. There's nobody to blame, but that's the way all the cities are working. But it doesn't mean that we got to turn our back on the city. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm the first one to say I fought the city for many years, and I'm working with the city as much as again, the point I'm trying to make is I know a lot of people are angry. A lot of people are talking with passion about their property, about their investing the money. But everybody that came to this town invested money, so we all got to be on the same boat. We all got to work on the same boat, and God willing, it'll take less time than in the past 20 years for things to happen.
Thank you. Now, I know Suzanne wanted me to skip over her this time, so I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Maybe you should.
I'm sorry.
I want to talk about a couple of different issues. First off, Reed, you got to tell me again, how do I properly identify what's the proper name for this board?
Beachside Redevelopment Board.
Thank you. Beachside Redevelopment.
Redevelopment Board, okay.
Yep.
But it's not considered a community redevelopment board.
No, that's not its title.
That's not its title. Okay. All right. 2 things I want to talk about. I live in the residential area that all my neighbors, a lot of my neighbors, I know everybody in here tonight. We live in the 1/4 mile north of ISB that's being proposed to be included in the new TOD on Beachside, okay? So before I speak about that issue, I want to speak about this board and the residential people and the business people. It's my understanding that this board has people that either live or work or have a business in the Beachside Redevelopment Board area. I'm correct on that, am I not?
Yes.
Every member of this board either lives in or works in this Beachside Redevelopment area.
Not necessarily everybody. Yeah, that's what the requirements are to get on the board now, and that was changed in the new
Yes.
code back in March of this last year. Additionally, we have an appointment from the planning board, so that one representative does not have to meet that criteria.
But that one
So going in-
representative is not a voting member, though.
That's correct.
So going into now in the future, every member will be either a resident or
Every
working in
voting
business.
member.
Every voting member, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So here's what it's, and now I want to share this with the board members, and I also want to share it with you, Reed, as the representative of the city officials, okay? All these people that came here to talk tonight came here to talk about their single-family homes, their residential residence on Beachside, right? And they looked at this board. All these people, they come to me all the time, and I love that because I'm very involved in my community, and they're very involved. It's wonderful now to have people living in my neighborhood within the last 2 years, year and a half, that are becoming really involved in renaissancing Surfside Village area, okay? But they looked to this board, they looked to the Beachside Redevelopment Board to represent their interests because we're like a citizens board. We're here to speak for the other fellow citizens of the area that live here or work here in this area. So it seems totally counterintuitive to me, Reed, and I really would hope that you would give us some kind of answer from the city's official's position. How can a board that now only has a recommendation or a vote say in any property that's over 22,000 square feet? How can we possibly speak for our own homes, our own selves, and the other people that own single-family homes in residential areas? It's totally counterintuitive to me. I mean, I don't see how we get... So I guess what I want to know is, why was that rule changed, and can it be changed back?
It's an advisory board on the certain requirements that the city has on not only these site plan, but also on some of the other actions. But it wasn't set up to be a citizens advisory board for the citizens or to represent.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the intent. And I think you have to go back to the elected body and the Community Redevelopment Agency, who were elected for the purpose of representing citizens. And we, on the other hand, and I want to make this clear, that if people want to come here and participate and listen, then they have the right to do that. And you have the right to listen to what they have. That's why we have public participation at the end, public comments. We don't hold you to an agenda item to speak to. You can speak on this, but it's not the primary purpose of this board, nor what it has on the agenda to be anything other than those agenda items that are to come before the board as applications. That is what we are here to do. It used to be that we were a site design review board, and that's what it used to be called in the day. And then there was another group that was combined with it that was a advisory board and had more general. It was there more for the general purpose of advising on a number of issues, and we would get involved in capital projects and in a lot of other areas that we no longer have, and that's the part that really doesn't happen anymore, and hasn't happened for some time with the boards.
Well, let me ask another question. Up until a year ago, this board met and even had final vote on anything, site plans, businesses that wanted to apply on Main Street and A1A, and any houses and lots, single family. or multifamily. I mean, we were proposed and heard on a lot of those, and we had final votes on a lot of those. So it seems to me that then we do represent more of the people that live and work and have businesses in this area if we are addressing properties that are under 22,000 square feet.
Yeah, but that was changed with the land development code.
I understand it was
too late
changed.
now.
I understand it was changed. What I'm trying to speak to is it doesn't seem productive to me.
That's
I mean, it seems totally counterproductive to be sitting here at a board meeting once a month if we're only ever going to address anything that's over 22,000 square feet. Because 99% of the properties, residential and commercial properties that are in this Beachside Redevelopment Board area are well under 22,000 square feet.
But if there's also a dispute between the property owner and the city officials, that dispute will come before this board. So if the property could be under 20,000 and they will come, but I know I know what you're trying to say, but really that was.
Well, was it?
Let me. During the land development code, there were a lot of issues that I had a problem with. But I attended the meetings that were held downstairs, and I spoke to them at that time. And some of the things they incorporated it when they changed the land development code and addressed some of the issues. That's when these issues should have been brought up during and it was announced at this meeting. How many times that, but you could go online, you could review the land development code if you have any problems, they're meeting on such and such a date. And I attended those meetings, and I had some things change, or not, I didn't. It wasn't like, I suggested some improvements, and some of them were incorporated, some of them weren't. It just,
right.
it worked out like that.
Well, is this something that can never be changed back again? I mean, what does it take to change it?
It would take another update of the land development code.
Is that correct? It would take an actual.
No, it would. If somebody wanted to have a text amendment, they can apply for a text amendment. A city commission can ask for a text amendment. So it can
that's
be
how it
changed.
gets. Well, that's way too involved. Okay, all right. Okay, it's not
Okay.
that. Okay, if it's a simple thing to change it back, I'm just going to suggest we do that. All right. The other issue I would like to talk about is the TOD. The TOD, the transit-oriented development. It's my understanding at some point in time, this is going to be brought up to our board for a recommendation or not a recommendation. Is that at some point in the future, after you do workshops and everything, it's probably going to come back before our board, right?
It's my expectation at this time that there'll be we'll return after we've gone through the workshops and everyone is at the point where they understand the process,
right.
Understand transit.
Okay.
And so that's still being worked on in terms of when we're going to have the first workshop.
Okay.
At this point.
So what I want to speak to is I want to speak to the rest of the board members so I can share with you kind of what this means to the residential people who live in the Surfside Village area. That's the 1/4 mile that's north of ISB. And it goes just a little bit south of Main Street, okay? Since this was first announced at the CRA, our last CRA meeting, or maybe it was the time before, I can't remember now, in my neighborhood, dozens and dozens of neighbors have been single-family homeowners and residential residents who rent in our neighborhood. They've been having meetings in their homes. They've been talking to each other. They're very cognizant of what's going on here, and they're very concerned. It was great when Reed and Jim met with the Santa meeting, and they got a lot of questions answered. And I can say that from everybody I've talked to, they now understand and have been assured that they cannot use eminent domain on these residential houses that are in this area. So they understand that now. So they're not worried about that anymore. You've assured them of that, okay? Some of them are very concerned about the height not only in the residential neighborhood, but also the ISB corridor and A1A and everywhere else in Daytona Beach. But primarily, from my understanding is, the people that live in the homes, the single-family homes that are in this quarter mile north of ISB, their primary concern is that a multifamily height building, let's say anything over 3 stories, 6 stories, whatever it might end up to be, if this TOD gets passed, if the commissioners and the mayor vote on this TOD, they're extremely concerned, I'm extremely concerned, that my single-family home will be sitting amongst multifamily height dwellings that developers don't have to eminent domain. They can simply buy a group of homes and put multifamily in there. And so what we're really wanting and hoping is that single-family home area will be preserved as single-family homes, and multifamily buildings cannot be put in that 5th Street to Main Street area and all the way from Peninsula to A1A. I mean, through Grandview. So this is something that's really, really, really important, that anybody that doesn't live in this area, that sits on these boards and is going to make a recommendation or not a recommendation when the TOD finally comes to us, you really need to understand that, when we first heard about it, and you made the comment, well, this is just about buses. Well, come to find out, in all these meetings and everything that everybody's been having, it's a lot more than about buses and transit system on ISB. It's about these houses that are a quarter mile north of ISB. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of houses in this area, in the old Surfside Village area and a little beyond, that people have invested $100,000 to $200,000 in. I mean, there are dozens of them now, and we are renaissancing this area.
Yeah, my comment about the buses was limited to the eminent domain talk, because they were saying that the eminent domain could be used in conjunction with trying to take, and they were talking about
Gotcha.
high-speed rail.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, high-speed rail, I could see where eminent domain might be attempted, but they're talking about buses here, so it's not, that's
Gotcha.
where I was limiting my bus comment.
I just want everybody on this board who's going to make a vote on this to either recommend it or not recommend it, I invite you all to come to our area. I can't give you a tour because of the sunshine laws, but there are people, Amy Pyle, she would be happy to give you tours, to look at the houses. We're right now taking photographs. I think we're up to over 40 photographs of the beautiful homes that have been renovated in there. We're going to start a campaign, a PR campaign for Surfside Village to try to show the rest of Daytona Beach how beautiful this is becoming and the investment of dollars we have in there. So all we're really asking is, please let us keep it as a single family and take the multifamily along ISB, but don't come into that core single family neighborhood. And so Amy, if you would get with Amy after the meeting, Amy could share the contact information. And truly, truly, we want you to come to our neighborhood. We want you to visit it. We want you to see the investments and how beautiful it's becoming. And somebody was telling me that they were in it. Oh, I know. It was one for the Santa meeting. She was in a store on Beach Street, and they were talking. Some other people were talking about the TOD, and this one person was saying, "Oh, the TOD, we don't need it on Beach Street or something else." But she said, as far as that Surfside Village goes, she said you could just burn it down because it's a ghetto. So unfortunately, in Daytona Beach, people that don't live in that little neighborhood, that's what they think of Surfside Village. They just think it's terrible slum, and it would be better off not being there. And that's not the case anymore. These are people's homes, and from what I understand, in the beginning, I was not complete, and I'm not with them on the height limit on ISB and the other areas. I'm not speaking for them on that. I'm not talking about that. All I'm talking about are these single-family homes that are in Surfside Village extended area. And please allow us to have our single-family homes and not be put with multifamilies.
Okay, Reed?
I think it's really important to make one point because it was stated in that meeting by Mr. Chisholm to everyone and give them assurance that all those single-family homes, and his intent was, north of Fifth Avenue,
Yeah.
that when we were talking about what is zoned and also in the land use as Surfside, which is primarily single-family duplex. There are some apartment buildings in there, but that area will be excluded from the boundary that whatever this TOD looks like, it won't be included. So he made that commitment, and we have taken everything back. Everything's off the table. This whether it's 80 units per acre or the FAR floor area ratio. All of those things that were looked at in what we saw in the comprehensive plan is some of the issues that might come up as some developer would come in here and look at that. That's all been taken off the table right now. This is starting from scratch, going back and starting with let's figure out what we're doing with transit. Let's figure out what we're going to be addressing in terms of quality development on ISP. When I say on ISP, I mean that first block along ISP. It's not about getting and developing into the residential area.
Okay, and what is the zoning in the residential area right now? Single family?
If we're talking about Surfside, it's primarily single family. It does allow multifamily and
As a
but
conditional
it's,
use or
as principal uses.
Okay.
You're not going to build many units because there's a fairly low density in there in terms of what you could build if you were trying to build an apartment building.
So the way to accomplish what Suzanne is saying is that what Mr. Chisholm proposed is to not change the zoning of the Surfside Village.
Well, no, he's really saying that this idea of having an overlay district that showed a quarter mile as the area that it was suggested it would be in, to pull that entirely back to that one block that's on ISP. So that first block on ISP would be the area that would be considered going forward here, where there and not into where there is residential zoning and land use. That's where we are right now in terms of looking at this, because that commitment was made to the residents in that meeting.
Now, one thing the residents need to know, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is obviously an advisory board, okay? The city commission has heard you loud and clear. Trust me, a front page article in the Sunday's paper did send a message, if nothing else, okay? The reason why this board exists in the advisory capacity is that they want to hear. If this issue went straight to the city commission, there'd be a lot of people freaking out right now. Okay, our job right now is to listen to you, and we're kind of like the buffer between you and the city commission. And yeah, maybe what you heard the first time around hit you really hard. Okay, but you guys reacted. You did a good job in your reaction. Thank you for not bringing your pitchforks to this meeting. But you did a very good job in your reaction, and I'm telling you, by the time this gets to a point after workshops and coming back before this board, which, by the way, I won't be here when it does, but coming back to this board, it will be in some kind of compromised format that you guys will be happy, because you got. And this, I'm going to quote one of you guys from an earlier meeting. You have 4 members of the city commission that are going up for re-election. There's 5. Okay, I stand corrected. Okay, something like this is not going to happen without everybody over there being happy. Okay, I guarantee you that. It's not. I mean, there's going to be compromises worked out, but but I hear you loud and clear. I think everybody else does. But Suzanne, go ahead.
Yeah, you're speaking to really politically active people here tonight,
Exactly.
so they know.
And
they know that.
And trust me,
Yes,
the
yes.
powers to be have heard this.
I want to say, Reed, I want to thank you and thank Mr. Chisholm for listening to us on pulling that line back to a few feet, and really thank you very much.
Okay, Dino.
I think everybody said enough. It was a great learning experience. I'm glad for the citizens to show up because we've all learned a whole lot today.
We have.
Thanks.
And I'm going to have one question of Tom. What is it you want to say? And then that way I could adjourn the meeting.
Directed towards Suzanne Ramsey, thank you for everything you do on this board, and I'm glad you're my neighbor.
My pleasure.
You had mentioned about being reassured that the residents and over in our area and everything else being reassured or their fears of eminent domain being relieved. And my question, and this is, I've been hit with this by several of the people over there. Their question is, just because they say it now, just because they say it so, what happens down the road when that's not the case?
Okay, I know more about eminent domain than your average attorney in town. Okay, I was at the table with Mark Rubio, which after my case finished with the city of Daytona, I went on to try to help change the law in the state of Florida. The law has been changed.
Yep.
The law will not allow eminent domain for redevelopment purposes. It will not allow it, okay?
Unless it's public use. Unless it's public use.
But public use is defined as things that we're talking about, road expansions and
Civic centers, bus stops, fast bus stations.
But then you
All
also,
kinds of
but you
stuff
still
proposed in this proposal.
you still have to show a need. You still have to show that is particularly needed for
So
that.
when that happens,
yeah,
what then?
But you know what? Well, your house will not be a need. Your house is far enough away from the corridor that you're not going to have to. But I don't foresee that happening. You got the assurances.
It's just a point that this wouldn't be the first time we were told something and they did something
And
else.
trust me, I'm still
It's
fighting.
been proven over the years.
I'm past the $750,000 mark in attorney fees, and I'm in appellate court right now.
There is a trust
Still
problem
fighting. I understand, and I'm
Can
the
I
victim
answer?
here. Okay.
Can I speak, please?
Yeah, I'd love to hear you.
I asked Mr. Chisholm the question about pulling the line back at the Santa meeting. You were there.
Yes.
And he said he would. And I asked Reed at the end of the meeting, and he said, I'm going to talk to Mr. Chisholm. And for Reed Berger to tell me tonight in public, I am completely confident that Mr. Chisholm and Mr. Reed and the other city officials are going to do exactly as they said. So you don't need to worry, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay?
Trust me.
I think a lot of the residents, disagree with that.
And not only that, not only do I hate the word eminent domain, okay, but I even hate the word blight, which many of you have brought up because really,
it's not just eminent domain. Now he's promising no more 80 units per acre, the TRD thing, on and on and on.
I know.
And just because they say
like
it doesn't necessarily make it so. And we know what history has proven over time.
I know, and
we're looking like with our pockets out.
I know, but I'm the victim here. Okay, you're looking at. I'm actually talking to you as the victim of that. Okay,
I'm just saying, let's not repeat history. And they've shown us nothing else.
Okay.
Nothing else.
But I would agree with you. Let's not repeat history. I'd hate to see anybody else have to go through all the suffering and everything that my family has gone through. But anyways, at that, I think I've spoken enough, so I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.